And people believe that you can call upon your guardian angel. Wow, that's a beautiful guardian angel. Yes, but are you real?
I'm going to teach you a prayer to invoke your guardian angel. My guardian dear, with whom God's love commits me here. Ever this day, be at my side. To light and guard, to rule and guard. Amen.
Wow, what a colorful and delicious dish. It was seasoned very well. I'd never had red snapper before and I really enjoyed it. Up next we have Ayodele and his Nigerian beef stew. Let's take a look. Today at Neighborhood Chefs we're here with Ayo. Hi Ayo, how are you?
Hi, Ariana.
Okay, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Let's see, where do I start? From when I was born? Right, so I was born in Nigeria in West Africa.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago. And right, so I grew up there. I grew up loving the cuisine. In fact, my mom told me that I actually started eating adult food at 6 weeks old.
Oh wow.
So I wouldn't stop crying when they were eating. Nothing could pacify me, not even the bottle, until they put what they were eating in my mouth and I was like, so
That's funny.
so I love food.
Okay.
Yes. So today I actually decided I was going to make something really simple. The first time I cooked, I was probably my second or third year of elementary school. I came home from school and there was an instruction from my mom. This is what you do, these are the steps, get this done. And I did it, and it's like ever since then. So I'm actually making exactly that today.
Nice.
So it's a basic Nigerian food. It's, well, I wouldn't say Nigeria because, you know, Nigeria's a lot of ethnic groups in Nigeria. So part of the Yoruba, which is in the south of the country, the southwest, we make something we call stew.
Okay.
And it's really the ingredients that you see here. And it's like onions, Jamaican hot peppers, really. Now we call this tatashe, but you know, people call it different things here, peppers and whatever, but it's a pepper, but we call it tatashe. This we call atarodo, which is like suggests like a round pepper, but it's really hot. It's really, really hot. And these particular onions, the red ones. And you could use any kind of meat actually, but I chose to use beef today. And the thing about our cooking is we're not picky about what kind of animal goes in the food. So whether it's goat, meat, whatever you like, you can mix as much as you like. So all kinds of things. You could put tripe, you could put kidney, you could put liver, you could put chicken, you could put goat, you could mix all of it together. It's okay. Or you could put just one thing. We're not squeamish. And the only time we'll mix fish with the broth is if it's actually dry fish. And if you're cooking like raw fish, that is on its own. You could cook that alone. But then dry fish you could actually mix with the broth. Right. So what we call stew is essentially made with this ingredient, and then there's something we call soup. Now it's very different. Like what we call soup, we would use some other kinds of vegetables in it. Right. So we would use things like melon seed. We'll grind it up. If it's dry, then we'll grind it up and then we'll use it for something. And then we'll put like maybe spinach or other kinds of greens that I don't know what the English name for them are, but there's some things like bitter leaf. There's some things like ugu from the Igbo part of the country. And there are many different kinds of leaves that we use to make all this stuff. Now, when we make that kind of thing like soup, we would eat it with doughy kind of food. So there's things like eba, amala, you know, which really comes from like yams or cassavas, and even from ground rice sometimes, and it's like in some form where when it's cooked, you have it looking like mashed potato, but tougher, denser, and it's myriads of colors. Like it could be black, it could be brown, it could be white, shades of gray. So there are different ones that we make from different things. It's amazing. So, but I'm keeping it simple today. So essentially, when I'm done, we're gonna have some fried plantains. We're gonna have some white rice. Then we're gonna have this stew thing.
Nice.
Now, alright. So first, we're gonna start with the onions, the tomatoes, the peppers, and we need to blend them together into a puree, I think it's called. So just cut them enough so they could fit into the blender. Now I need to leave a little piece for the rice for later. Okay. So, but for now, just chunky enough to fit into the blender. Now, when I put it into the blender, I have to be careful on how much water that I put in, because you also have to heat it to evaporate a lot of the water. So right now I'm just going to mix and mash them. Now, back home we would have to take this outside because you have to get a really smooth consistency, right? So the people whose business is actually to have little machines where you take this stuff to and they pour it into it and they grind it up for you. By the time it comes out, it's really smooth. Even all the seeds are grinded up, everything is just smooth. But at home, you can use your blender. You're not going to get the same consistency, but it should suffice. Okay. Right, so let's remove this green bits. All right. That's all been shredded enough that it can all fit into the blender. Around that one. Essentially nothing should go to waste. Well, not much anyway. Right. So now I try to put it in the blender and see how far I get. So tomatoes, they're the quickest to be grinded. So you can just take off the whole cover. Some of the tomatoes, a few of them, get it all wet. As much as possible, try not to put water in it. So I may have to notch them in the middle. Not everything at once, otherwise it will be hard to really grind it. Right. So you just have to do it in stages. So it helps you appreciate how it's done, where you actually take it to somebody who has a machine where you can just pour everything into it. In 5 minutes you're done. The goal of this is just to get everything grinded up to a very consistent state. I think we're about ready for everything else. So already you could feel the fumes from the peppers, right? So the thing about our food is it's always very spicy or hot, but that's how we grew up. So when we eat food that isn't so spicy, we feel it's bland. We always want to add something to it to make it really hot. So what I did at first is I used the chop and the pulse just to kind of get it in a fluidy state, and then I'm using a liquefied button to really get as smooth as possible. So I don't think it's going to get any smoother than that. So sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
So now the next stage is to actually put this in a pot and heat it up to get rid of as much water from it as possible. So now the whole idea now is to put it on the flame and leave it to simmer for some time. Then you evaporate as much of the water as possible, and the reason will become very apparent shortly. Okay?
Okay.
Now let's do the next thing that needs time. So we work on the meat next. We soften it up and rinse out quickly. You don't need to. Right. So now put a little bit of water in the pot. And just essentially put the meat in it. Okay, I need a little bit more. And start the stove. Now we add a little bit of salt. We add a little bit of salt. A little garlic powder. Some dry thyme.
I'm a very strong smell.
Yes, it is. So as you can see, there isn't any need to put a lot of ingredients in it. So just thyme, a little bit of garlic, some salt, and curry, and the taste that comes out of this is amazing. This one will measure out. A little bit more. And cover that up. We'll leave that in to cook. We move next to the plantains. Now, exactly. But these babies, the way we slice them is pretty consistent across the board. I mean, I don't think I've ever eaten plantain like either sliced any other way. So I felt it was important to actually show you this. So we'll cut it like that. Put it out. Right? Another one. Take it from the back, nick into it, and slice. Now it's also important for it to be ripe. Right. Now you can start from this angle or this angle. Personally, I prefer this way. Then you start to slice it. Like slices like that. Okay. Into thin slices, not too thin, but not chunky either. riper it is, the sweeter it becomes later.
Which of these was riper than the other one?
The first one,
The first
actually.
one.
Yes. Right. Now, here's the little known secret. Take a dash of salt, a little bit, and you sprinkle it over it. Right?
Okay.
Have you ever had salted, what do you call those plantain chips?
Yes.
Same principle, but this time it's sweet plantains, right? So to make the salt spread evenly through it, kind of just toss it around, right? Just do that for a few seconds, and it gets even and around it. Okay, I'm gonna add that in. All right. Now I need vegetable oil. For the frying pan, you actually have to let the pot itself heat up for a little bit, right?
Okay.
Then when it's warm enough, you add the oil and you start to fry the plantains. And you need to get it to a consistent golden brown look.
Okay.
In time, you see how that is turning out? It's getting thicker because a lot of the water is evaporating from inside of it, right? So this is heating up nicely. And that is also coming along nicely. So now this should be warm enough, hard enough to start adding the plantains. You want to give them enough room between plantains. If it can all fit in one fell swoop, fantastic. If it can't, it's okay to, you know, wait for the next batch. That'll give us some time to fry, and it's going to get brown on one end, flip it over, and the other side also gets brown at the same time. Not too brown, not to the point where it gets burnt, but just enough for it to still be succulent and tasty. Right, so we have to keep our eye on that. And the funny thing about frying plantains is if you take your eyes off it and go somewhere, you come back it's burnt.
Yeah.
I don't know why. The water is evaporated, so it's pretty much ready for the next phase actually. And we're going to hang on a bit for that one. So I'm going to actually make the rice. So it's simple white rice. So I've left the water in to warm up a little bit, and let's add the rice. And you have to get the depth just right. So a little bit of shaking to see just how much water is in there, and it looks like it's a little bit too much. Ready to get some out. Now you can always add water later as you feel it out to see just how hard or how soft it is, right? So you start with that. And yet again, you have to add some salt. We love our salt, obviously. Okay. Now I'm going to let that sit there for a little bit longer. In the meantime, check on the meat. Now, in Yoruba, what I'm doing with the meat is called essentially, I'm just trying to make it a little bit tender with the seasoning and stuff, and all of it actually goes into the final broth. So nothing is wasted from this, right? Okay, then we check on the plantain, see how that is doing. It's still all golden looking, so I don't think it's fried deep yet. You can see the consistency. So it's not quite ready yet to flip over. I'll turn it back a little bit. Okay. Just flip it over, spread it. Oh, that wasn't ready. Now, when the other side also gets to be brown, we start taking them out. Take however it's ready to be taken out, because if you leave it in there, it's going to actually get burnt, and you don't want that. Now, meantime, this is about ready. You take a fork and you kind of prick it to see just how soft it is. And it's soft enough. Now, this is half of the process. So, the next step is to take a another pan, like this. Put it on the flame, and then really, really good hot. Right. So I've had that there for a while now. This is getting hot, so I'm going to swap them for a second. All of this. Then take some oil, put it in there. Just let it kind of cover the bottom of the pot. Not already golden brown enough, so we can take them out. Now notice that I've put the paper towel on the plate. The idea is to help drain the excess oil from it. When you do as much as you can, take it off, and you just have to take it off like that. That one's ready also. Now, already there's a difference in texture based on how we started out with the plantains. You notice that the ones that were really ripe, they look softer, feel softer. The ones that were a little harder, feels harder. Right, so you know which one I'm thinking, right? Of course. It's ready. Okay, so we let the others sit there for a little bit longer. And flip that over. Flip that one over. Flip that over. Okay, now put that on the side. Now this guy here shows the oil in a hot pan should be hot enough. Now this is where you have to probably step back and we see the value of heating as much water off as possible. Okay? Get up. Now, because we took out a lot of the water, it's not so bad. If we hadn't done that, it would have been coming out straight all over the place. Burning you.
So the warriors help
Exactly.
to save ourselves. That looks delicious.
So now, this is essentially frying the tomatoes and the peppers even though they were ground together. We'll let that happen for a few minutes, right? And then we'll add the rest of the ingredient and add this, which is still nicely getting softer here, into it. Now, one thing I can say though is, though this is one way of doing it, another way would be to season the meat separately, preferably overnight, and the morning time to fry them up to a nice crispy texture, and then to just add them to the broth with the seasoning. So that's another technique, right? But I'm doing the whole steaming bit, if you will. Okay? So we let that fry for a while. And we check on the rice. What that's doing. And so at a certain point, now notice the onions that I put in there. See how they're nicely sitting on top of it? It gives it an extra tang. Right?
Smells good.
Now, I have to test the rice. Just make sure that it's the right texture. It's not too soft, so I can cover it more. There we go. So you get as much oil as possible off while you're taking it out of the frying pan. And then the paper towel helps it to drain it even further. Here is all ready to go too. He joins the rest of his family. Now, what we then do with the rice is two things. One, you can listen out to see if it starts to burn from underneath, like crackling sound, Or you could just take a fork and pot it a little bit to see how much of the water is actually gone. Now you can see there's still water left there, so that means it has a little bit of ways to go. Now you can also taste it again, see if it's actually soft enough. And if it is, you can actually drain out the excess water. Or you could just leave it open like I said before and let it all drain. Okay. Now if you notice, our friend is still frying. So occasionally you move it around to make sure it's not burning at the bottom. And you can see the texture of it. See? So virtually all the water is gone. So it's just the raw peppers, tomatoes, and stuff that's left in there. And it's about ready for the next part. And this is where you add this to it. Take that, see it, and we'll just add it to it. Thank you. It will remove. And then now that's added. We're getting loaded it from there.
More salt.
A little bit more salt, just a little bit more. Because remember, the salt was only added to the meat. Now we have the pepper base and the oil to it. So you have to add a little bit more for more, a little bit more seasoning, right? A dash of garlic. A little bit more thyme. Swear this is thyme. And a little bit more curry.
More heat.
Just a little bit.
Honestly.
You have to use a spoon, otherwise curry has a way of surprising you when all of it decides they're going to go into the pot. Let it come out. Now we cover it up and let it sit up a little bit. Check on the rice a little bit again, and almost all the water is gone. Rest of the rice is ready. So I checked again, and all the way to the bottom is dry. The texture is good. I believe we're ready to go. Now, broth. So I've been shaking it like that to make sure it doesn't really stick to the bottom. And it's pretty much ready. See it? Now we can just ensure that it really didn't stick to the bottom. And it didn't. And a little taste. Let's see how it feels. Not bad, even if I say so myself.
It looks delicious.
And that's it. We're done.
Should I line my stomach with something before? I know, I'm kidding.
No, it's
This
fine.
looks so good. Okay. I'm just gonna go for it.
Blow. This is hot. There you go.
That's very good. It's hot, but it's very, very delicious.
Thank you.
I'm just
Yeah,
a
try
little
the
water.
plantain.
Okay. very good.
Yeah. Glad you like it.
I'll try the meat and then we're done.
Oh yes, definitely.
And I'm gonna try this one.
Do you need a knife?
Hmm?
You need a knife to cut that, or are you good?
I think I'll just. You think I should use a knife?
Yes.
Okay. Just- That was very, very good.
So I
Very good.
got 2 very varies, 3 very varies, and then 4 very varies.
It's
Awesome.
excellent. The whole thing is delicious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is really good. It's just hot. But it's
That's
really
how we
good.
like it.
I like it. Thank you.
You're welcome.